Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to... Yeah,
Is that
again,
awkward?
once again, I was talking to them. But yes, but
again,
also...
it's hard. It's awkward to hear hi and not respond hi.
That's fair. All right, so how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Great. Can I tell them hi now?
You're such a jerk.
No, I'm trying to be welcoming to our guests and
I
welcome
think
them.
they get it. Like, they hear the intro.
And welcome
They're
them
already
to Thinking Like a
committed.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
I guess. All right, so welcome to Thinking Like a Lawyer.
Yeah.
This is, of course, our 199th episode spectacular.
Well, I mean, I think the spectacular we're going to save for next week's episode.
That's probably true.
So are you the only person who's been on every episode?
All but one, I think.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
impressive.
So I'm Joe Patrice from Above the Law. That's Catherine Rubino, also of the same publication. And we're here, and next week is the 200th episode of this show.
Bum-ba-dum.
So we're gonna.
We spent all this time making sure you have sound effects that you're available to use, and
That's
you
true.
mentioned the 200th episode, and you haven't even come up with a sound effect
That's
for it.
true. You know,
So let's take this again. Next week is our 200th episode.
yeah, I don't know where.
Wow.
I don't know where these things are these days. Like they're all over the place.
I mean, just so the listeners, since we're so concerned about looping them into all the details of what's going on, but let's be clear, you almost every week spend a solid 10 minutes with our sound engineers being like, can you hear the potential sound effects? And now when there's actually an opportunity that's not like oddly shoehorned into it, you fail.
So the 200th episode of this show. Yeah, see, I mean, all right, fine. Now, I need to spend some time in between shows beefing up this soundboard. I don't think there's a lot of options.
I mean,
here.
I thought you would have some measure of celebratory sound effect.
Yeah, I guess. I'll do that.
Well,
I'll
I'm glad
try.
that we foregrounded this issue. So next week, for the literal 200th episode, you
That's
do
true.
something.
200th episode, we should have a special guest back. We're going to bring...
Secret.
Oh.
Secret time.
Secret? Or could we tell these people? Oh, so long as they don't tell anybody else. But yes, no, we should be welcoming back Ellie Mistal, who the original co-host of this show, who's going to...
Before we upgraded.
Oh, okay. We'll tell him.
Shots fired.
We'll tell him that too. He's going to join us
feel good about
again
that.
to reminisce about the legal doings. I've been on every show but one, which was an episode that I was going to join them. I was out of town and I was going to join the show remotely, and it didn't work, which led to
Ellie.
Ellie and
We literally just mentioned him.
no, that's not what Ellie and Randazza going off on their own. Actually, in fairness, I did end up technically on that episode because Legal Talk Network made me record a disclaimer to begin the show for how explicit the rhetoric got. So technically, I guess I have been on every show now. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. That'll be a fun thing to reminisce about.
Yeah, well, I'm sure this will come up. So we're here again, and
It's a short week. That's exciting.
Yeah, short week. It's a President's Weekend. I was just going to say before we get moving too far to thank all of our sponsors: LexisNexis Interaction, Lexicon, Contract Tools, and Nota, powered by MT Bank. So without any further ado, I thought maybe.
So what's been going on with you this week?
Well, I'm here and I'm prepared to go forward. I'm not a cat.
You are
is
not
really
a
what
cat.
I think what if there was anything that we had an actual impeachment trial last week, and the legal headline that
Actual impeachment trial / sham of an impeachment trial. However, tomato.
Sure, but I think it's fair to say that the line that lorded over the legal industry of the week was, I'm not a cat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how your Zooming for the rest of the week went, but I've definitely seen folks who are logged into, lawyer name - not a cat.
Nice.
That's kind of been the...
No, it was fun. A Texas lawyer in this instance, it was Rod Ponton. Anyway, he logged into a hearing, and the judge pointed out promptly that he was a cat because he had a filter on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually funny. I know you're kind of into like the tech side of things. And when I first saw first saw, a lawyer with a cat filter, I was like, oh, he let his kids use Zoom for something.
Yeah.
Because, if I ever loan my phone to my nieces, there's a million different filters and hearts popping and all this kind of stuff going on. So that's what I kind of assumed happened. But I think you actually had some details on that filter.
Well, it seems as though, according to his story, it seems as though it was his assistant had done something with it.
Sorry.
I think I know what you're getting at, but in this instance, it was that his assistant had accidentally turned this on or turned it on to have, in another conversation. And that's why they were trying to turn it off. What the interesting thing is, though, I think a lot of folks tried to get that filter because it's a pretty cute filter.
It was adorable.
Yeah. And everyone's really familiar with filters from the Snapchat world. Mm-hmm. And none are really quite as cute as that one was. So people were trying to find it and couldn't.
I mean, the eyes were really the kind of awesome part. It was super cute. And they kept on rolling. It was very, very cute.
Yeah. We're talking about a lawyer who did this. And we've moved well past the lawyer appearing before a judge looking like a cat, well into the this is a cute filter. But you can't find it, as it turns out. It's a Dell product that was released with one of their webcams years ago as part of the training software, or not training, demo software.
Demo, yeah.
The problem is that was a long time ago, and they don't release it, and it's not something you can get on Snapchat or anything like that. And it is only available for PC when it ever existed, and they stopped it. And the reason this showed up is that this lawyer, apparently, I think we've talked a lot through the pandemic of lawyers becoming more tech savvy.
Sure.
And,
the pandemic is forcing this on a lot of traditionally Luddite lawyers.
Well, and we talk on the Legal Talk Week, like I, among legal tech journalists, I'm always pushing back. People say, it's unfair, this reputation lawyers have as Luddites. They really aren't, and blah, blah, blah. No, they are. And this is proof, because this particular filter was only available to this guy because he's not upgraded his computer in 12 years.
By the way, that's also a kind of a great statement about the computer that it's lasted for that long.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
None of my computers last 12 years.
Yes, no, I think that's very true.
Maybe a little tougher on them, but...
Yeah. But yeah, so this guy became a
internet sensation,
an instant little internet sensation.
Yeah, and it definitely went beyond sort of the legal media. It was widely out there.
Yeah, no, it was cute. It was not the first time he's been in the news, of course.
Really?
In 2014, when he was a prosecutor, he oversaw a raid that kind of violently broke into a smoke shop, ultimately arrested a woman, made her plead guilty to something that, according to police reports, she hadn't done, as a way of getting her mom and sister, who had also been arrested as part of the plea deal of this woman pleading something that the police say she didn't actually do. They allowed them to go.
Doesn't sound great.
It doesn't. And the wrinkle, of course, is he denies that this ever happened, but the woman who was arrested claimed that they'd had a relationship and that this was retaliatory.
Was he really a cat then?
He's denying this like he's denying that he's a cat. Okay, we'll see. But it's a very troubling story, and it's one that, even if all of the stuff that she's saying is untrue, it still feels very, very iffy. She ran a smoke shop, and they made her plead guilty to possessing certain controlled substances. But the police and DEA report say, "Here's all the stuff we seized there, and none of it was a controlled substance." Well, yeah, which does make it seem weird.
Is the case ongoing, or
no? This was in 2014, and then he ran in 2018 to become the district attorney and lost, and that's when he moved to
becoming a cat.
To cat practice.
Right.
Yeah,
he's
so
a cat attorney.
Yeah, a cat attorney. Yeah, but I took it as, not getting into the details of this sordid back and forth between prosecutors and whatever. I took it as one of those reminders that the internet remembers everything, and you have your lighthearted, fun fluff piece, literally in this case, and the first thing that happens is somebody goes, "Wait a minute, that
I
guy?
know that name. This is not the first hit on the internet."
Yeah, no, it's not good. Anyway, but it was a fun event in our lives that there was a bit of a cat attorney, and
/ prosecutorial misconduct.
Yeah.
Reminder.
Allegations anyway. Yeah. Just a reminder that it's important to update your computers all the time. And if you work with contracts and don't use contract tools, you're missing a lot. Save time, make more money, and do a better job for your clients with Contract Tools by Paper Software. Contract Tools is the most powerful Word add-in for working with contracts. Thousands of lawyers all over the world rely on Contract Tools every day for every kind of deal. Visit papersoftware.com to watch a demo and get a free trial. As a special offer to podcast listeners, use coupon code LTN2020 to get 1 month free. That's papersoftware.com and LTN2020.
Hey.
Hi.
It's almost like we're back again.
We are. What are we back to?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Okay.
I'm a great improv partner.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I promised that I was going to do a better job, and you're really killing it here. So you had a story this week about a Law 360 survey?
Well, yeah, I do a daily trivia question of the day, and anytime there are surveys about the legal industry, it's kind of perfect to kind of mine for our legal trivia questions. And Law 360 had a survey about partner compensation, which actually has spawned several trivia questions, as it turns out, because there's a lot of data in there. And I think that anyone who is at that point in their career or thinking that that's some place they want to go eventually is definitely something to take a look at. But one of the more interesting details was how important what law school you go to is to your long-term earning potential.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and everyone likes to think, well, it doesn't matter as long as I do a good job as an attorney and whatever. And I'm sure there's certainly parts of that are true, but let's not forget that in order to get many jobs and many opportunities, you have to have the resume for it. The legal industry is very elitist, and having a top law school on your resume will always, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, people still talk about how she graduated from Columbia and left Harvard Law because, you know, of all the stuff that went on with her. People will always talk about your law school. And one of the interesting data points was that for partner compensation to hit the $500,000 threshold, if you went to a top law school defined as 1 through 25, 60% of folks in that bracket hit that threshold. But if you went to any other law school, 26 to 100, then you're talking only like a 40% chance of hitting that threshold.
Wow.
So, you know, even though, and this is, you know, across all different types of practices, across, you know, different, it doesn't matter if you're an M&A attorney, litigation, whatever, this is kind of aggregate. But I did think it was an interesting way to say that you can never really escape the law school that you went to.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's true. And I actually remember when I was applying, I had no family or anything that had ever been a lawyer, so I didn't know. But I had an undergrad professor who knew what was going on, and I was just kind of compiling lists at random, and she said, yeah, so here's the deal. You can't go to any of those. You have to go to one of these. It really shepherded me through the process. And yeah, it's true. The haves and have-nots gap is not as stark as the T14 wants you to think it is, that like there's an immediate drop-off from 14 to 15. It's a little better than that. But yeah, once you start getting down to 24, 25, it's not that those aren't good schools, but the career prospects start becoming a lot tougher as far as if you're in it just to make money.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Or, which you
to some extent have to be, or else you're in it to be in debt forever. Which is another problem to be resolved.
Yeah, I mean, that is always kind of the bigger picture issue with law school and legal education generally is kind of hanging over the whole endeavor.
Yeah. And, so, you know, you just need to get paid.
Yeah, you need to get paid.
So that brings us to Nota, powered by M&T Bank. You went to law school to be a lawyer, not an accountant. Take advantage of Nota, a no-cost IOLTA management tool that helps solo and small law firms track client funds down to the penny. Enjoy peace of mind with one-click reconciliation, automated transaction alerts, and real-time bank data. Visit trustnota.com/legal to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. So, yeah, we foregrounded. I guess there was an impeachment.
There was.
Sort.
Yeah, that did happen.
Look, other podcasts and sources will probably go through the details of the political ramifications of it. I watched it more for the lawyering, you know, for the grand advocacy. And how did we feel about the advocacy coming out of the defense attorneys?
I mean, if you're partisan and you're a Democrat, I think you felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, that was.
If you identify as right of center, I can't imagine you were thrilled.
It did not go well, I think is the best way to put it. So we had a meandering intro, and then we had kind of a rage-filled response, and then we had the utter cluelessness of the this is not a denigration of slip and fall lawyers. They perform an important job in this world, but that job is probably not defending a constitutional challenge to the presidency.
Yeah, but they don't have to know the Constitution nearly as well.
Yeah,
as they do like local.
Yeah, it got pretty brutal. I heard the phrase "bill of attainder" used incorrectly. I heard a lot of talk about due process as though indictments. That was the one that really burned me as somebody who did white collar defense. The effort that Schoen made to claim that there was a broken due process because Trump didn't have the ability to defend himself to the House before they voted to impeach, and I was like, that's an indictment.
Yeah. You don't get to go there.
You don't get to go to the grand jury and defend yourself. Like you don't have these options all the time. Like the due process is this trial. It was.
Yeah, this is your due process.
Yeah, this is it right now.
Literally were invited to testify.
Yeah, you. This is what's in front of you now. It was really astounding and weird because it almost seemed as though this was. There was also this video that they kept showing ad nauseum, which there were a few senators in it.
They just showed the exact same video twice.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, and there were some senators involved, and obviously that was somewhat relevant. But they would show all these House members saying that they were convinced that Trump needed to be indicted, and they were like, so this proves their bias. And I was like, that's like saying the cops think that people are criminals. Like, yeah, that is their job. Then you come here, like that's what the trial part is. You don't get to like let it go away because the police didn't believe you.
Yes, and I hear what you're saying, but I think fundamentally they did what they had to do, which was to make it messy and blustery. And if you're already looking at bias sources, which frankly most Americans, right or left, are looking at largely biased sources, right? There was enough sound bites and clips to make people like, I don't know, it just seems very confusing out there, and it's just kind of enough to get folks to believe President Trump, or, I think they did enough to muddy the waters, and that was really all they had to do in order to clear their way for a 2024 run, which is probably their goal.
Yeah, no, it was.
Well, that's if,
right.
Prosecutors, like actual like criminal prosecutors, have nothing to say about it. That was another story this week, right?
Yeah.
Fannie Willis from Fulton County, Georgia, came out and said that she was opening up an investigation into potential criminal conduct in election tampering, which, I look forward to hear what the results of that are.
Yeah, so fill us in a little bit more on this. So this is Georgia.
Georgia, Fulton County's DA.
Right,
newly elected.
And they're looking into specifically this Raffensperger call, correct?
Well, that was the beginning of the investigation. I believe Willis made a couple of appearances last week and made some statements to various publications and believes that there is more. But certainly the fact that call between Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, a couple of big law attorneys, which we talked about ad nauseum on this podcast and you've written about quite a few times, and President Trump, because that was leaked, it became public, it was out there, and she certainly believes there's enough to start a criminal investigation. She said all the right things now about how, no preconceived notions about what she'll find, but if that call is public, one imagines there's additional stuff out there that she can dig into. So there will be a criminal investigation into potential election tampering. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just as the framers intended. The actual punishment of federal elected officials will be the Fulton County DA's office.
I mean, it's what we got.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're organized and can get through everything, but they've streamlined their administrative tasks properly.
Oh, I see where you're going with this one.
Here's a message just for attorneys out there. You passed the bar, joined a firm, or even built your own. Now you're finding out you are doing more administration than actual law practice. Lexicon can help. Lexicon is a legal services and technology provider with over a decade of experience helping firms maximize billable hours. And until March 1st, get up to $1,500 off onboarding. Visit lexiconservices.com/go to get started. So, close up on the week, what are you looking forward to this week? What do you like from last week's
in general?
news?
Yeah. Well, not much did I like from last week's news. What I'm looking forward to for this week is the fact that it's a 4-day week. President's Day was Monday. What I'm looking forward to the week after is the 200th Thinking Like a Lawyer spectacular.
Yeah, fair enough.
No sound effects even then.
No, I
I'm trying.
Like sad trombones, like the best I got. Like I have nothing but mean-spirited sounds right now, which
I
is
think that
probably a
says
sign
something
of it.
about you.
Yes, it says something bad, but it's like I guess a gong works. I guess.
That's
Yeah, you're
not
right.
terrible.
Yeah, I guess.
All right,
that's
you want to
fair.
try it again?
All right, sure.
What I'm looking forward to next week
Oh,
is
really?
the
What?
200th episode of Thinking Like a Lawyer.
Oh, I hit the wrong one. The buttons are a little close here. I'll try and figure that out.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to have a practice session before next week's episode just for the sound effects.
That's fair. Yeah, like this. Not besmirching this. This is a great little program. It's a new one for those who
It's
are
free also, I'm sure.
For long-time listeners, you knew that I used to have one that worked and it kind of ceased working. And so we got this new one and it's great, but the things preloaded on it they're of a kind.
But I like the way that you started out taking full responsibility for the fact that they were a kind of mean-spirited sound effects. Like, yeah, I guess that says something about me. Now you're like, these were preloaded. I had nothing to do with
They
them.
were.
Your story changes, though, was my point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I can still
get a story and stick with it.
I could still take responsibility because I obviously have had some time to load up more things, which this program invites you to do. But it is true that and I felt like I didn't need to. I felt like this was a pretty good set of stuff. But it's all kind of, like broken glass and thunderstorms.
It takes too long to get to the thunder.
What?
It takes too long to get to the thunder for that one.
Fair enough.
But I mean, the gong was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Spectacular.
There you go.
See, that worked.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Why, Joe? Did you have something that you wanted to talk about that you're looking forward to next week?
No, I was looking forward to another, 5 to 6 minutes worth of content was really what I was looking forward to. I thought that would help, but yeah.
Well, we have a lot of opinions about sound effects, I think is the long and the short of it.
I think that's true. If I can find a gavel banging, I think that's one we probably need.
You definitely
legally.
need that, I think. But I also think that it has to be very loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because otherwise it could be kind of muffled and weird, or you're not, and somebody thinks that somebody's like trying to enter their, like, I don't know, like, you don't want it to sound like a knock. Because, like, I feel like that's awkward.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like, some sort of a, like, some applause, maybe a cheer.
Yeah, see, I had all those with the
like
old
a
program.
Woohoo!
The old program had applause and it had crickets and it had some good stuff. But
so you do know what should be on this.
Yes, I think that's probably fair.
I think this is still your fault.
I think, and I think we talk a lot about business.
You're the only one who's been on this for 199 episodes.
It's fair. We talk a lot about law firm business and stuff like that.
We do.
So like I can get a cash register and stuff like that so that people can know.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, so you can think about making money and wonder how have law firms weathered previous economic downturns and come out stronger on the other side. LexisNexis Interaction has released an in-depth global research report confronting the 2020 downturn, lessons learned during previous economic crises. Download your free copy at interaction.com/likealawyer to see tips, strategies, plans, and statistics from leaders who have been through this before and how they've reached success again.
Good one.
Yeah. No, so I will get that done and stuff. I'm looking forward to wishing the best, of course, to all the February bar exam folks who are going to have to deal.
The bar exam is coming back up again.
Who are going to have to deal with this, which is really problematic.
So, okay.
There are some jurisdictions are doing it in person already, which seems problematic this early.
Yeah, I mean, we are not at a point where everyone has gotten their vaccine.
Correct.
I mean, fingers crossed we will be shortly, but we are not there.
But other jurisdictions are still doing it online, even after all the troubles of the October exam, which they have looked at and decided, wait a minute, why don't we just double the length of the exam? Yes, even though the problems were primarily that the algorithm flagged people for cheating because they shifted in their seats, things that are prone to happen over the course of an hour or two of sitting quietly and staring at a screen. And instead, they said, what if we made these sessions twice as long?
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Awful. And they've been the stories of cheating flags that are being handed out willy-nilly by the system.
Well, I'm sorry, but I was under the impression, you can correct me if I'm wrong because it's kind of your beat, but it was mostly in California that did sort of an overwhelming number of these, whereas in other jurisdictions, they may have gotten those flags from the system, but they had somebody sort of manually go through them before they sent out the notifications.
Yeah, so it seems as though what really happened here is very much not the problem of the technology, though of course the technology creates this problem, but it's one that can be addressed. ExamSoft's position with their technology is that it is not flagging people
that are necessarily cheating.
Consciously. Right. It looks for things that could be issues and just says, hey, this has been flagged.
A person should look at this.
Right. Now, that's problematic for people who, like, for instance, people of color whose faces didn't get recognized from the outset are told, basically, your whole exam is suspect before they even start.
That is
psychologically
so racist.
Racist and psychologically not the best conditions to begin a test under. But that said, if things are getting flagged elsewhere, ExamSoft's position is, hey, we're not saying that they're cheating. We're flagging these for someone to look at. The problem with this, of course, is it appears as though California in particular got bunches of them because this is a hyperactive piece of
technology,
algorithm.
Sure.
And
they're a very large jurisdiction.
And so they just sent out notices saying that they believed 1/3 of all test takers cheated. And it was up to them to prove to us why you weren't.
Yeah. I mean, that's
it's just the laziness of not wanting to deal with it.
Yeah. 3 different kinds.
Yeah. So this is the...
Like, yes, that is hard. It is harder to do that, but it's certainly not harder than all the proctors you have to employ during an in-person examination. Understand that, online doesn't mean automated in 100% of, times. And you actually have to do a lot on the back end to make it as tenable a process as possible.
Yeah, it just, a problem existed where it was broken, and their response was, let's double down. It's really unfortunate, and I feel bad for everybody who has to go through this.
Yeah, and I think that putting the onus on test takers is just beyond
lunacy.
Yeah, it's not okay. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you have a job. You literally have a job, and people are trying to get one, so really, it's your job. It's not the test taker's job.
Yeah, I was asked if I wanted to give a pep talk, basically, to February bar exam takers, and I was like... I'm overjoyed to chat with people, but I can't imagine a worse pep talk than whatever I would say at this point. I'm like, this test is broken.
You're fucked.
Yeah,
and,
like, you're
good
gonna,
luck with all that.
You're going to do the absolute best, and unfortunately, this whole system is going to screw you over. Yeah, I feel so bad about that, but I will try my best.
That is a decent question. What would your piece of advice be to a February bar exam taker? You can make it both something that's specific to online or just like the bar exam generally. Like, what would you say?
Maybe the algorithm doesn't catch the cat filter. I don't know. Like, I don't. I don't know what possible advice I have to help people avoid these problems. They got to try. I know. Yeah.
Maybe you don't understand the nature of advice.
This is the point. This is what I'm saying. I don't.
No, but you can be like, listen, it is a particularly challenging time. Everyone is aware of that. In 10 years from now, it'll be a badge of honor to say that I sat for this bar exam. It was the worst bar exam. We will almost certainly universally acknowledge that in 10 years' time. And you get to, over drinks, someday you get to tell your story. And it sucks right now, but you will survive it. And whether you pass or whether you don't, at some point you will be a lawyer, and you have to kind of look to the horizon, look to the future, and do the very best you can. I believe in you.
See, this is what she's. This is why she's the one you want for this sort of a job.
That is true. I am a more positive person than you are.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't think this is controversial.
Yeah.
I've known you for many years at this point. I don't think that anyone who's known either of us for any length of time would be shocked at that information.
Yeah. Anyway, well. So.
Yeah, you can do it if you're taking the February bar exam. Good luck.
Yes,
you've got this, and in 5 years we'll all have a drink on you.
Yeah, fair enough. So, with that said, we'll have a drink on you. Yeah, I like how you slipped that in there. I almost that was.
Well, because they'll be a rich lawyer.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, depending on which law school they went.
There you go.
Yeah.
It
See how it all comes back together
together.
full circle. So next week, 200th episode. Until then, you should be reading Above the Law. You should be subscribed to this show. You should be giving it reviews. You should write something, not just give it stars, because that proves more engagement. You should be following us on social media. I'm at Joseph Patrice. She's at Catherine1, the numeral 1. You should be listening to the Jabot, as well as the other offerings of the Legal Talk Network. Legal Tech Week, the Lawyers Roundtable that I'm on every week is also a good option for you. And I think, is there anything else?
Peace.
Oh, okay. Then that too.